we are about to get back into the world of Sanitarium. So as a quick recap, the last time that we were here, we were at the creepy circus, and we had freed the Timber, the wolf, and we need a few things to go down the hole where he went, and also it's like the squid thing is there. So always good to watch a short eye stream. Well, always good to have Bill as a viewer in chat. All right, let's come over to this. Let's get this going. And let's load her up. Where we left off. Let me just test that that's working. Good. Okay, so here we are. So again, as a reminder.
Wow, that's deep.
On your way home, beware the pit of darkness. You can only pass through safely when you've sought out the wand, flask, and reflection.
Alright, so we have some things we need to get. Let's go get them. We get those things, or some of them anyway, in a place that we have not been before. This overhead is too bright. Hold on.
Calling all sharpshooters! Prove your skill! One ticket buys you a chance at the pig shoot! Calling all sharpshooters! Prove your skill!
There, that's a bit better. Sarah, come here. So one thing you can actually do is you can drag the cursor to the edge of the screen and then, like, keep your mouse going and she'll just auto-walk. Which does not help for anything, but, Alright. So we have not been here yet. Not been here.
It looks fun, but the animals scare me. What else should I do?
Okay, what's this?
This must be for the merry-go-round, but it's all rusted up.
Ah, the old rusty thing that we need to put the oil on puzzle.
I don't think I can... Whee!
So it's a little weird. I don't know if this is intentional or not. She says "we" when she turns it on, but she's not like having a good time at all.
Can't go that way.
This makes more sense.
Whee! Uh-oh. Oh, poo.
Oh. I guess it doesn't really make sense either because it's a creepy circus. She should be kind of freaked out. Anyway. Now, I'll show you this puzzle and what, like, the setup for it, but just know that you don't have to watch this.
Step on up to the sign, twerp. Spanky will say if you goes in or not. Ha ha! Throw this one back in the water, Spanky. She's too small.
Too small. But notice that he has a something missing in the middle of his face, and in fact, I believe
I guess he runs the fun house.
if we talk to him, he'll tell us
Sarah,
about that.
what's yours?
Oliver Tweed. And I may say that I have never seen so little as Sarah in my life. You're small, kid. S.M. all. Ha-dee-ha-ha.
Who's that clown on the roof?
That's Spanky the Clown. He sits on the roof so he can see far and wide.
Why?
He's looking for the little bastard that stole his nose from the sign over there. Some little brat who looks just like you stole it in the last town we were in.
All right, and then this just tells us that we need 5 tickets, I think, to get in.
It don't matter to you, runt.
Oh.
Spanky's arm was way over your head, so aim straight. Come back in about 3 years.
Though I never really thought about this before. It's just a fun house. Why should her height matter? Like it's not a roller coaster that she's gonna fall out of or something. That doesn't really make too much sense, now that I think of it, but This is the red ball
Rubber juggling ball.
that we got from the juggler. And I just want to check something on my sound settings real quick here. Peeking just a tiny bit. No, that's fine. We're good. We're good.
Look.
Children of all
All right,
ages,
ooh, not that.
come
We
on,
want
come on.
the red ball.
There
It's a-
you enter the house of horror. Recoil in. Okay, Shrimpo, step up to the sign and Spanky will. What the? Huh. I guess you're okay, Stretch.
Thank you.
That's a wholesome moment. All right, so Spanky was good enough to let us in.
I don't think I can go there.
Can't go in unless we give him the tickets. So we have some extra tickets.
Thanks, Squirt. The house of horror awaits.
Like, we probably did one squid squash too many. Because we don't actually need the last 3 tickets there, but that's okay. Always good to have some
Children
tickets.
of all ages, come one, come all.
Spooky.
There you enter
Spooky.
the house of horror.
Spooky.
Right, it's all just spooky, I guess.
What? What am I doing here? Who am I? Get this off me! Out! I want out!
A broken piece of mirror.
So we got a broken piece of mirror, which is actually one of the things that we need to go down the hole. This guy always sort of freaked me out.
His breath smells funny.
I don't know.
My name's Sarah. What's yours?
Well, I'll be a leprechaun. Where'd you find a golden leprechaun?
I'm not a leprechaun. I'm a girl.
You don't fool me, leprechaun. My name is Lappin' Larry. Show me to your pot of gold.
Do you like it here at the circus?
No, sure. Nothing beats waiting to die of starvation or being eaten alive by some freak. Oh, let the good times roll.
I love how everyone who works here has some sort of quip about how awful it is.
Don't you guys have enough food?
No.
Maybe enough for a month or so. But once that giant squid eats all the fish around here, we're screwed. You can help us, can't you, little leprechaun? You can... I'm screwed!
Eaten alive, you mean?
That squid's gonna eat us all, I tell you! We're all doomed! He didn't have to drown a clown to drink.
And drinking he is. Alright, moving on then. The only place in the circus that we have not been to at all is this little tent up here. What is this? Looks kind of like a fortune
I
teller's.
wonder what all these star pictures mean. Ooh, she has a crystal ball. Hello, my name is...
Sarah.
Wow, you knew.
Of course I did. I'm quite skilled in the mystic arts, my child. My name is Lady Ivana.
I met another fortune teller. His name is...
Zippy, that pinhead, he is a fake. Just a stupid clown with delusions of grandeur.
I don't remember which clown this is. I'm blanking on this. Might have to look that up later.
Would you tell me my future?
Normally I would charge you, but with the way things are, I see no point in it. Come closer. I will need to see your pulse. I see that you are far from home, and that you are not who you appear to be. You possess the solution to an important problem, although outside forces conspire against you. How unusual. Your hands tell the stories of someone easily 3 times your age. Well, I must rest now. But I will give you one final piece of advice. On your way home, beware the pit of darkness. You can only pass through safely when you have sought out the wand, flask, and reflection.
Ooh, wow.
So, yeah, it should be pretty obvious right now, at least in general, what's happening, but that line about how we seem to be 3 times as old as we appear should be a pretty big hint as to what's happening. And the mirror. We'll talk about that in a second. But let us do this. For if you remember, Inferno told us that we need to get the fuel.
Says rubbing alcohol. Ew.
In order to
Clown breath.
be taught how to breathe fire. So that's we do the things in the order that we do. We get this first.
Rubbing alcohol. Ew.
Because when you go to get the mirror and then go to the fortune tellers, then you get transported right here next to Inferno anyway, so it wouldn't make sense to do it the other way around.
I can't do. Maybe I'll try.
Okay, I think you have to talk to her about it. You can't just give it to her.
I got a bottle of rubbing alcohol. Will this work?
Sure. Now, let's see. What else do you need? First off, I'll give you one of my old fire batons. Second, you can light it here in my fire barrel. That should be it. Are you ready? Watch me carefully, and then you try it.
Okay.
Okay, now you try it. You did it. You're a natural.
All right. And so now we have all 3 things that the fortune teller told us that we need to go down into the hole. Now let's see if that clown is still over here. I think he's probably going to be stuck in the same spot. Yep. Yes, he is. I don't think he has anything else to say. Okay. So yes, we need to go all the way around. That's very bad luck for us. While we walk over, I'll talk about this part then. So obviously, even if you've never seen the game before, the fact that we're transforming into a little girl and we're seeing, ourselves, it's pretty obvious by this point that at least some of the game is taking place inside of Max's head. That shouldn't be too much of a surprise. If you remember yesterday, I was talking about how the solution to the tic-tac-toe puzzle didn't make sense, but it did. And to remind you, the solution to opening up the gate to the pumpkin patch was 451, and one of the solutions is to know that the number of times that people beat Jesse in tic-tac-toe was 4 times, 5 times, and 1 time. But the 1 time was when you did it, but that doesn't make sense because the gate would have had the combination before you beat her. But since it's all in Max's head anyway during that part, and that's something that the orderly kind of confirmed anyhow, then it does sort of make sense because his mind would have made the combination into that way right after he beat it. But at the same time, it kind of still doesn't make sense because if you know the combination, you can just go right in. So it's still a little weird.
Wow, that's deep.
In we go. In we go. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if you saw that. So that achievement said migraine, and it put down the house where you get the tattoo. One complaint I see in reviews sometimes is that sound effect of the tattoo gun going really is just really obnoxious and annoying. I wonder if it's a reference to that, like the sound of it gives you a migraine inside the tattoo house.
I could use a nap.
I could too, Sarah. All right, let's save this.
Save game.
It's technically still chapter 4, which is a little weird, but...
Return to game.
All right, so what we've got...
Just a bunch of dried twigs.
Dry twigs, so we use the classic adventure game trope
A
of
broken piece of mirror.
using a mirror or a magnifying glass and the light to light it.
Huh? They're burning.
Now, one time, I haven't been able to recreate this. I was able to get Sarah to kind of, like, float across the, like, on top of the water. It didn't really do anything useful.
It's an
But, so now we've got that. And we've got a lighted torch and rubbing alcohol.
That squid monster's in here somewhere.
All right, you hear the heart beating? So this is another one of those arcade sequences. So what will happen is that this will come out, and then you've got to make that go away. Occasionally, some stalactites will fall from the ceiling, or at least they are supposed to. I don't see them doing anything right now. I wonder if that's bugged, or if it's a version difference. But they absolutely fall down in the original and the GOG version. You get stalactites falling, and that can possibly damage her too. And I was hearing the sound effect for it, but none of them are falling, so I wonder if that's a version difference. Like that sound effect that just happened is normally accompanied by something falling from the ceiling.
That'll teach you to play nice.
All right, so you notice this other path here we could have gone down, but it's just a dead end. Now, we're going to see the squid monster, and what is supposed to happen is that he has like different patterns of spitting out like toxic stuff at you, and I guess the intention was for you to learn the pattern and avoid it, but we're going to do something a little bit different. So here he is. We might take a hit here. You know what? Let me show you what happens if you die here. I haven't done this in a while. So like there's the, you know, kind of a pattern that goes like that. And I wonder if it's okay. So he's kind of going left, center, right, and they're like that. And then there's one where it does all three at the same time. So you might think that you're dead. They're unique for sure. And then you come all the way back over here. In the speed run, that's a huge time loss, obviously. And it's still odd to me that none of the stalactites are falling down. The boss fights in this game are really they're unique. They make it different. I'm wondering why nothing's falling down. It should be, but maybe again that's a version difference. So by the time that you get to the boss here, there's a very good chance that you'll have your health diminished a little bit. So maybe you're supposed to be strategic and watch and learn the pattern, but really all you have to do is come up here, and if you do this, he kind of gets stun locked if you left click fast enough. At least in the original. There you go.
See you in hell, freak.
It's one of my favorite lines in the game, especially coming from a little girl. And that's it. So you can just kind of spam left click and not have to do too much. So now we get to the point where the game really, I mean, for me, starts to get a little emotional. Starts to hit right in the feels a bit. Really creepy house, but we'll see here. This was the same house that we saw through the binoculars when we were looking at the binoculars at the beginning of the circus stage too.
Creepy. It's making me nauseous.
Mm-hmm.
Whew, that looks hot.
Can we open it?
Ow!
No, we cannot. All right. Only place to go is up the stairs. You might think that there's a puzzle that you have to do with that, and there's not. It's just a creepy looking. I like how, like, you know, this bottom part looks sort of normal, but then all the weird pipes coming out of it.
Max, come upstairs. There's nothing you could do, son. It's not your fault that you couldn't find it. Come on. Your mother wants you to help her in the kitchen.
This part is really cool.
Hey, Dad, I'm coming.
So yeah, we have Max here, and if it were not for them actually naming him, and we know that's the name of our character, maybe you might think that they're actual ghosts, but it shouldn't be a spoiler, and it should be pretty clear that this is a memory that Max is having as a child. We saw this in the cutscene, so that shouldn't be much of a spoiler. And if you don't remember, the it that Max was trying to find was Sarah's doll just before she passed away. That was her last wish, was to, telling Max that she couldn't go to the circus, she wasn't well enough, and then ask for her doll, and Max couldn't find it. All right, fun fact here, if you go above this, there's a cutscene where you get a hint to solve a puzzle, and in fact, casually, if you don't see it, I'm not sure how you would know how to solve it, but if you walk down here, you just skip it entirely, so I do wonder how many people got tripped up by that, but let's watch it. So if you go in the speedrun, obviously you go down and skip this entirely. You don't have to watch this.
No, come on, I'm starving. When will it be ready?
The same time as it is every other day. 6 o'clock and you know it. Now shoo!
All right, I'll be in my study until 6 o'clock.
Hey, telling you 6 o'clock is when dinner will be ready. That sounds important.
Something's burnt up in the bottom. I don't even want to know what it is.
See what's in the fridge.
Yuck. The food in here is all rotten.
Let's look here in the bathroom, maybe. Oh, can we get... Oh, yeah, with the doors up here. Anything in the laundry? No. They're not doing their laundry, apparently.
Creepy. It's making me nauseous.
Okay. And, yeah, there's nothing to see in the bathroom. I believe you don't even get, like, a cutscene if you come in here. You can see yourself a little bit, and you get some ambient sounds of the shower, which is kind of cool, but... Go up here, we've got a dining room, we've got a study. And if we get far enough up there, we see that's where Father Ghost is residing. And if you remember a second ago, he just said that he would come out when it's 6 o'clock, when dinner time is. What is this? This looks not normal.
Looks like more rain.
Candles, that is.
This must be the ugly cousin. I guess this is the family that lived here. The walls are squirming, like they're not even real.
So, looks like we've kind of, and if we look at this door's locked.
Oh, poo. It's locked.
It is locked. Now, let's see if there's anything noteworthy. I know there's nothing noteworthy in the closet, but you can go in here. Do a little Harry Potter under the stairs. Up the stairs we go. See what's going on here. It sounds like that's a bug. In my right ear, there's like the ambient dialogue of the bathroom and the clock. Let me see something.
Return to game.
That's super weird. I don't know if I want to turn down
Audio options.
the ambient volume.
Return to
Okay, good.
game.
That was obnoxious. We'll turn it back up later. So we can go in this room.
A radio. I wonder if I can get any music.
Mercy Corporation stocks continue to rise as the Hope drug treatment is being used worldwide.
So that's the second time, maybe even the third time, that we've listened to a radio and it's talking about something called the Mercy Corporation and the Hope drug. That becomes important.
The trains are moving, but they aren't plugged in.
Notice there's a poster on the wall. This is of that same comic book character that the Max was reading the comic book in his bed during a lot of the flashback sequences.
This doll only has one eye, but 4 arms.
And you have the same character in this sort of...
I'm sorry, Sarah. I couldn't find it. I looked and looked. It's a ghost boy. I feel like I know him.
It's a little like punching bag sort of thing.
Whee!
It seems like, or just something that swings. It's sort of hard to tell what it is exactly.
Whee!
All right, so there's that. Oh, I always loved how she delivers this line.
Oh my god, the walls are bleeding.
This we cannot open.
Oh poo, it's locked.
Can't do that. And I don't remember, aside from like her noticing the rocking chair, if there's anything interesting here.
It's rocking all by itself.
No. All right. Up we go into this room. And I don't think we can look at the individual pictures. I think she just says the walls are bleeding.
Oh my god, the walls are bleeding.
Yes, she does. Here we go. And then we get another cutscene. This one is not skippable.
Stephen, why do you do this to yourself?
I just miss her, Diane. I miss her a lot.
We all do, honey. But torturing yourself watching old videotapes every night isn't the answer. Come to bed. It's getting late.
I guess you're right.
Okay, so now we know that there is a videotape that he's watching, but if we examine this, we find that there is no videotape in there. We come into this room, and it's a little hard to see, but there is a key here.
Wonder what it's for.
Oh, there's one thing downstairs that we have not looked at yet. And actually, if you heard, when you picked that up, there was actually a clock sound that sort of bonged in the background. So we have not tried it yet, but this grandfather clock here
What a wonderful old clock.
is locked.
It's locked. Oh poo.
So I'm going to just do another save. Just in case I mess this up, because it's kind of cool. Oh, poo. And if which one is that in the sound test?
Ow. Yuck.
Oh, that's the screenshot button. It's F12.
Uh-oh. Whee! Oh poo.
All right, F6 is oh, poo.
Oh poo. Oh poo.
So, it's locked.
A brass
We open it up.
The clock is open. Now I can move the hands.
Yeah, the Opu key. So, if you remember, it needs to be 6 o'clock when it's dinner time, and there's a locked door that we can't get into that the father ghost is in. So if we set this to 6, then it will chime, and that lets him know that it's dinner time. Now, this was one of the first tricks or skips that I found, because after this, there's a good like half second where you can still control Sarah. You don't even have to do like the pause buffering or anything. So immediately after this, if you just start walking, then you'll be like stuck in walk mode. So let's see if I can get it first try here. Like that. So like a very big like window of opportunity, and you can get her to kind of come to the door here prematurely.
He's a big ghost.
Like that. So that was one of the first I found, because the window where you can get her moving is actually quite large.
A silver key. It's all shiny. Here's a videotape. It says Home Movies.
All right, and we learned from the cutscene earlier that the father was watching it, trying to remember his departed daughter. So let's go watch the videotape, shall we?
Here's a...
Movie time.
Dad, this is my secret hiding place. You're not allowed up here.
Tell you what, I'll turn this thing off if you give me a big hug.
Well, okay. As long as you don't tell Max where this is.
Okay. Now where's that big hug?
Love you, Daddy.
Love you too, Pumpkin.
It'd be great if the game made you rewind the tape, or you lose points or something. This was still in the Be Kind Rewind era. Though towards the end of it, to be fair. You could still rent VHSs in 1998, though they were very largely phased out by DVDs at that point. So this door is locked. Oh, why don't we hear the Opoo one more time?
Oh, poo. It's locked.
And we saw in the video that the father was going up the stairs to the attic, so why don't we go there ourselves? And Sarah in the video was messing around with this, so let's see.
Hey, that's where the key is hidden.
Lots of keys. All right, so you would think that you'd be able to come here and just like find it, but you can't. You have to watch the videotape in order to be able to examine that bear. So in this really creepy house, we're going to have a little bit more unnecessary fun.
Whee!
That's quite a leap there.
Ooh, this key is gold. Ooh.
So we take the gold key, open up this chest. Open it up.
You found it. Come on. There's not much time. Follow me.
And so we have finally found the missing doll after all these years.
Come on, Slowpoke. She's waiting. You have to hurry.
I would like to be able to go faster.
Come on, Slowpoke. She's waiting.
But the game does not have a walk speed setting. I always like the music in this place too a lot.
Oops, sorry about that. Come on in. Hurry up. What are you waiting for?
Right, yeah, so that door was locked until that moment. I think the only thing we can do, we can look at this.
It's rocking all by itself.
And we...
It looks like a toy chest.
Can't really look at anything else. Oh, what's this?
An old dollhouse. This is too creepy.
Alright. And...
What a neat dolly. I'll call him Mr. Clown.
You found it after all these years. I'm sorry it took so long. I'm so sorry. Don't be sad, Max.
I thought I let you down when you needed me most.
No, don't think that. You could never let me down. You're my hero.
Hero?
You're trying to save all those kids. I know you can do it. I love you.
I love you too.
Don't worry. I'll watch over him.
Goodbye, Sarah. It's time for me to face the future. Rest well.
That always sort of gets me a little bit. So we've, seen and had it reinforced many times that Max is trying to save and protect kids, and it should be pretty obvious by now. We don't know exactly how, but in real life, we're trying to do that as well, and that's sort of why we start manifesting these fantasies of saving children from different things, because that's sort of who we are, and that was kind of incited by our sister dying at a young age. This is a little disturbing.
Just a child. Could it have died here? Please, I've had enough of the circus.
Now what does the O-Poo key do here? Oh, it makes him laugh.
Damn.
And F7 is the damn key.
Damn.
I always wondered with that walking animation up the stairs if that was a problem with the animation or it's because it's raining, but that always looked a little weird to me, like the FPS is down quite a bit. So anyway, here we're in this creepy part. We're back to the asylum and the sanitarium, but it's a different part of it that's pretty darn creepy.
Whoever built this place loves ominous stone figures.
I guess so. All right, we got a little desk here. Anything we can read? No. We got a radio.
A radio? Wonder if I can get any news from the outside world.
Today the world mourns as children who successfully responded to the hope drug begin to die.
So more about the hope drug. We've heard about that from the radio 2 or 3 times now.
This clock is running counterclockwise. The time is 1 o'clock and the alarm is set to 8.
Now, you might think that that's a solution to a puzzle, and it might be. There's a puzzle that we're about to get to, and this sounds.
This clock is running counterclockwise.
like a key or a hint to a puzzle.
Set to 8.
I'm gonna be honest. I can't figure out how exactly it applies to the puzzle. So we'll get to that in a minute.
Stern-looking fellow? Where do I know him from?
Impressive, isn't it?
Yes.
The artist really captured his strength in this pose. I'd introduce you to him, but he's, visiting my mother. She's been feeling run down lately, so my father thought it best that she get some rest at the clinic. I guess we should be going. We don't...
Jacob? I wasn't expecting you. I assumed with finals coming up next week that you'd be spending your time in the library. Instead, I find you here, wasting valuable time.
I've more than prepared for the finals, Father. You needn't be concerned. I'll do just fine.
You'll do just fine? Fine. Is that your goal? I thought I taught you better than that. Anyone can do fine. I don't want you to be just like every other student that medical school churns out. Remain focused on what is important, Jacob.
Yes, Father.
So we get these flashbacks of
wish I understood.
Of Max and Dr. Morgan as they were going through medical school, so they have some kind of history.
Pipe valve. Strange thing to hide behind a painting.
All right, get a pipe valve, which we're going to use for a puzzle in a second. So we come up here. This obviously beckons to us, but if we try to get in here, we will be denied.
This gate is shut tight. What could be so important inside?
Let's head up the only other way that we can to this machine. All right, and
pipe.
To turn it on, we put in that, we turn it.
Well, let's see if that accomplished anything.
So, kind of a weird contraption. I'm going to save this here.
Save game.
So I can mess this up on purpose.
Turn to game.
It seems that the rotating electromagnet is linked to the stone weight, but what is the machine's purpose?
So this is a little odd. So how the way that this puzzle works is that you have like these electromagnetic things, and if you flip the switch, then it toggles the clamps that correspond to that position. So that was, top and down and left over here. So that's what it did. And so this wheel here will turn it. And so if you're doing this casual, you'll probably kind of mess around with it a little bit. Might take you a little while. And you might think back to that hint about the counterclockwise, and I don't know if that's a hint. I've tried to parse it before. I can't quite do it. This now thankfully this thing here will reset the puzzle. So I've seen a number of solutions online for this, but the simplest one, I'm not sure if this is the way the devs intended to do it. You just go back and forth between this, clicking on this, and you do it 8 times, and that's it. So like you flip, wish, flip, wish, flip, like this. And I'm trying to remember, let's see here. Is this the one? Maybe. And there we go.
Aha!
Now, in the original game, in between the transition of that pop-up puzzle and coming back here, there is like a split second where the walk cursor comes up, and it is possible while that's coming down to come over here and sometimes even get to the stairs there. It doesn't really save really much time at all. You saw how fast the ball came down and rolled into there. But it's just something that you can do in the other version of the game. All right, so now we can come into here, and what were they hiding?
God, it looks like a slaughterhouse. Damn!
Here, let me help you.
God, such an idiot.
Patience is the key, Max. Never let the problem get the better of you. You know, I wasn't always this brilliant.
I don't believe you.
Oh, I used to botch my lab tests constantly, but I stuck with it and learned from my mistakes. You're my brightest student, Max, and you have the most potential out of all your classmates. Now come on, we still have a lot of work to do.
Feel dizzy.
All right, some more, again, history between Max and Dr. Morgan. This is pretty darn gory in here.
Oh, God. It's terrible. Who would butcher these people like this?
Yeah.
Oh God. It's terrible.
The local authorities are becoming increasingly suspicious of events here at the asylum. To ensure that my research continues unabated, I must rewrite the locking code for the back lab and move the subjects' bodies down to the crematorium before the sheriff arrives for an inspection. The chalkboards must also be washed clean, for they contain the encrypted codes
Hey,
needed
Dr.
to...
Morgan, we looked everywhere, but we ain't been able to find them.
What? That's the third time this week.
But I mean, maybe...
Spare me your insight. You're pathetic. A man cannot vanish into... Both of you. Get this wretch out of here. He's too damn old for my purposes. As for our missing patient, I'll find him myself.
Yeah, but what about this stuff? Shouldn't we ought to clean up here? I mean, before the inspection.
Shouldn't we clean up?
Aware of it. We'll take care of this mess after we find him.
All right. Yeah, if memory serves, you have to listen to that to be able to... I don't know if it's to look at the chalkboards or if it's to be able to, like, do the puzzle on them, but you do have to interact with that to be able to do this next part. So basically, there's a keypad over here. It's voice activated. We need to learn the password, and we find the password through the chalkboard.
I have a feeling there's a message hidden in this rambling mess.
I stand at a crossroads.
So Dr. Morgan will kind of read through this.
To unravel the mystery.
So the deal is that you click on initial letters of the sentences and arrange them in a particular order to make a word. Once they are down here, you can click on them to rearrange them, but if you know what the word is, obviously that's a lot faster. Now, it's been a while since I've done this, so I know what the answers are, and I have them in my notes too, in case I forget. But where exactly the first part of the sentence is,
using those methods.
I have to sort of hunt here a little bit. But the word is salvation that we're looking for.
With scalpel in hand and hope in my heart, I now prepare to tread upon the virgin soil of the mind. No longer bound by the archaic standards of traditional medicine. Reborn.
Oh. Now, so if you didn't do it in the right order, what you can do is click on a letter and then click on another one to swap it. But the animation for that is kind of long, which is really annoying. And I remember when I was playing the game for the first time, I think there's a patch to fix this now. But in early versions of the game, if you did that in a certain way, you could actually make letters disappear, and then the game would be unwinnable.
I have a feeling there's a message hidden in this rambling mess.
Okay, to this one, what's the answer to this one? Hold on. Okay, the youth.
Experiments 1 and 2 were complete failures. Unexpected complications during my exploration into the brains of the test subjects regrettably cost them their lives.
I'm looking for a Y. Where is it? Where is that? There we go. Oh.
Obviously, I was in air when I thought the root of insanity grew from the brain itself. Housed elsewhere within the complex frame of the human body lies the key, but where? There are so many dark avenues to explore that I hardly know where to begin.
Looking for a T, looking for a T. There we go.
Task.
Oh, we need another T.
Time to regroup
there.
Before I renew my search for this elusive prey.
So it gets a little bit harder because you start getting to multiple words.
I have a
and then the last one, okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
Feeling there's a message hidden in this rambling mess.
And this one is a little unfair because
for the elusive solution to this,
the phrase doesn't make sense. Like it's out of grammatical order. So let's see.
Remains hidden from me. Darting from flesh to muscle, muscle to bone, and back again to the fortress of the mind, this evil seems always to maintain one step ahead of me. How can I trap what I cannot see? Surely I am close to the source by now. Eventually it must rest, and when it does, I will be there to ensnare this
Where is
beast.
the S? Give me an S.
Once removed from its host, I am confident that it will wither and die like the weed that it questions. Knowing now how difficult it is to find this hidden monster, I am led to believe that the age of my test subjects may be a factor. Younger
We need another
display less
Y.
evidence
Where's the
of
other
infection.
Y?
The madness is so entrenched within the aged frames of my older subjects.
Hunting,
that it's nearly
hunting
impossible
for
to
a
discern the same
Y.
tissue
Where are
from
you?
the insane.
This Y we already used. Oh, come on. Where is it? I feel dumb. Where is it? Beta me cat D. E. Oh, we don't need that yet. There it is. Oh wait, no, we need another one. Isn't it key hides? Oh no, key hides. Wait, what is the word? Oh, 2. I was looking for the wrong word. That would be why. We don't need the O yet. T. So the other thing that's weird about it is that you have to put these words in the right order. So if I did like hides key 2, that wouldn't work. You have to do key hides 2.
Aha.
In that order, which doesn't make much sense because what you're doing after that is you're rearranging the words anyway.
There's some kind of electronic security system on this door.
So you have to put in the password here, and you just have to make a sentence out of it. And I think that there are multiple ways to make coherent sentences out of this, but the solution should be
Youth. Hide. The. Key. To. Salvation. Youth hides the key to salvation.
and that is the passcode. I kind of like those shorter levels. Baby? Mini baby.
My God! Huh?
There you are. Been wandering again. You know you can't come in here. We've been through this before. If you ever want to get better, you have to let me help you. I know all this must be confusing to you, even frightening. But this work is going to help so many people. Sick people. People with no hope.
No!
Calm down. You're going to hurt yourself. Those straps can hold a man twice your strength.
So, remember the comic book that we've been sort of seeing throughout the game?
The only good bug is a dead one.
We are now that character. And this is about the part of the game where a lot of people playing it casually are like, okay, I could deal with the little girl in the creepy circus. What in the hell is this? So yes, we are Grimwall the Cyclops.
This thing has some kind of mechanical harness.
It's a good level. They're all good. I think my least favorite, like, big level is probably the Aztec level. And this is a really good one. I like this one.
Wearing this harness, perhaps they'll think I'm one of them. It's worth a try.
ID confirmed. Drone guard class, Sector 7. Proceed.
All right. And one thing we need to remember to do, so we don't have to backtrack later, is to try to get in here.
Drone guard class not permitted within the Queen's chamber. Entry denied.
Crap.
Oh yeah, so they all have their little invented swears here. So yeah, just before this, we saw how there were, a lot of, babies and Erlenmeyer flasks, I think is what they're called. So again, with the sort of theme of children being harmed and Max feeling like he has to protect them. Let's see what the sound test is on this guy, on Grimwall.
What? Aha! What the? Uh-oh. Yes. No. Ha ha ha. Crap. Ugh.
All right, good to know. He is also the character that moves the fastest. This is kind of nice. Dealing with these slow pokes the rest of the game. All right, let's see what in the hell is going on here.
A handsome young Cyclops. I hope he can help me.
By the makers! Grimwall! You're Grimwall! But what are you doing here? Why have you returned to us? I thought Gromna had everything under control.
Grimwall? Is that my name? I don't remember much. Just waking up in this hive and having to battle a few insectoids. I had to use this strange device that I found on the large one, just to pass their security forces.
It's an ID harness. Gromna built them for the insectoids since they lost their sight. With that on, you look like another bug to them. That's why they're not swarming all over you. Look, my name is Graven. We need to talk more. But until the work slows down, I'm stuck here. Afterwards, I'm going back to my pod. We can meet there. My pod's globe code is Gromna. Use it if you need to get in there for anything.
And so that's why we need to talk to him to get his pod code. And I probably should mention, if you remember back to the very beginning, one of the crazy people in the tower was talking about bugs and bugs swarming all over him, and that comes back to play here.
This monster is also half machine. The insect is performing a grotesque experiment, putting bits of machinery into the child. Who are you?
TikTok, cybernetic technician.
What is your function?
To integrate cybernetic enhancements to the flesh.
Tell me about cybernetics.
Who designed these robotics?
Gromna, honorable assistant to Her Majesty.
I require my ID harness to be upgraded.
Upon whose authorization will I grant this procedure?
You
delay in your response. I am busy. Return when you can produce the proper authorization.
And that's really the only thing that we need to do with this, because later we're going to ask this guy for what the upgrade code is. We don't know to ask that unless we've talked to it. Let me see if we can get this now.
Insectoid pincher. The edges are sharp.
I don't think it's optimal to get it there. Normally I get it, later in the speed run, but it doesn't really matter here. All right, and if we come down here, you see this here. This pod we can't get into yet, but this is Grenacier's or Graven's pod.
For Graven's pod.
Grenacier is the password.
Password.
Renacier.
Enter.
Okay, and we have.
I wonder if Graven has any good crystals.
Let's see what the. I think you get a cutscene with this. This is optional.
And now, our breaking story this evening. During a helicopter sweep in the search for another missing child in the troubled remote community of Warrendale, authorities were startled to discover what appears to be a gigantic insect hive attached to Mount Cyteria, close to the ancient mechanical ruins. Details are sketchy at this point, but some sources have estimated that the visible portion of the hive is only a small part of the greater whole. More details on this breaking story as it develops. In an attempt to halt the infestation of the insect horde that is sweeping across our nation, leading entomologist Gromna will lead a team to infiltrate and examine the ever-growing hive. When asked why he was risking his own life on this mission, Gromna simply replied that he was willing to sacrifice anything to stop the infestation. When he heard the news, President Agris said, Gromna is truly a great man, and we all wish him much success. Today, the nation breathed a collective sigh of relief as word from Gromna finally reached our closest outpost to the Hive. Gone for months and presumed dead, it turns out that Gromna's team is not only alive, but they have found a method to slow the Horde's infestation. Remaining near the Hive, the team will continue their research in an attempt to stop the Horde.
Hi, Gravin. I guess you're not in. You must be out helping Gromna save the world or something. I just wanted to tell you that I love you, and I miss you. And I really look forward to you coming back to me soon. Goodbye, sweetheart.
All right, so a lot of backstory there. And the ambient noises just stopped. Okay. A lot of backstory there, but in short, there are bugs, infestations that are bad and taking children, apparently. And Gromna seems to be a Cyclops who is a good guy who is going to fight the bugs. And Gravin mentioned Gromna earlier, and so...
Gravin's tools.
Sounds like a pretty good guy, at least from the news reports.
Sledgehammer should come in handy.
So we got some tools, we grabbed a sledgehammer. And we need to find the door and leave. Okay.
Not so many. Slow down. Too many and the machine will overheat.
So what is happening here? Let's wait for that animation to replay. If it's going to replay.
The insectoid's abominable furnace.
So what they're doing...
They're dropping cyclopean babies into the furnace.
They are throwing babies into the fire. Not really great.
I can hardly stand to look at these beasts.
Let's try talking to them.
Who are you?
Shipment. Furnace operator. Why do you ask, guard drone? Why are you here?
I'm here to inspect the furnace.
It's been suitably repaired, but if Her Majesty needs confirmation, then go ahead and get on with it. Just stay out of the way. We're very busy.
What is your function?
To regulate the flow of air to the furnace.
What is the purpose of this furnace?
Are you testing my knowledge? Very well. This is the main power supply of the Hive. It was built by Gromna himself. It maintains the temperature of the Queen's chambers and also is used to smelt the raw ember into a highly concentrated power source.
So Gromna's not really a great guy after all if he's building a power source that requires children to be burned.
Where does the ember come from?
We found deposits of it within the mountain while we were tunneling our way up to the surface. When Gromna joined our cause, he recognized it as a possible power source for cybernetics, if reduced to its purest form.
How do you regulate the temperature?
It's very complicated. You'd need to be at least the level of operator to understand it, and you are still merely a drone guard.
How do I become an operator?
An ambitious drone. You are far too young to even be considered for it. I've served the Queen for generations. With age comes respect and station.
What about those bellows over there?
The assigned drones pump the bellows for regulating the flow of airs into the furnace. Through that, we control the flames that are used to smelt the ember.
Are those cyclopean children being thrown in?
Don't be alarmed. According to Gromna, they won't pollute the ember.
Where do they come from? And why burn them?
Does this investigation require me to explain everything to you, drone? It's a convenient way to dispose of their sickening little bodies once the queen is through with them. Granted, the ashes and smell can be a bit nauseating, but one gets used to them after a while.
Don't worry, it won't contaminate. God. All right, so let's see here.
The insects are pumping a bellows to control the furnace.
So it's a little hard to see.
This pipe has been fixed recently, though not too well.
But there's a little patch there, and what do we have?
Grab a sledgehammer.
Drones, stop the bellows. Seal the pipe. To continue pumping with that damage would overheat the furnace.
So they stop pumping, go over there, and now we have a chance to come over here and do this.
With that bug gone, I can reach the controls. I'll shut down this abominable furnace.
All right. He dropped something on the ground. What is this?
The mechanized arm survived the fire. I wonder if it can be used against the beasts.
Now let's grab that. And then we take a look at the controls for the furnace. I'm going to quick save here.
This insect is hooked up to a machine, and the levers must control the furnace. This is more complex than I imagined. There appear to be many controls, all interrelated.
Oh my. So when people first get to this puzzle normally, they kind of freak out because it looks really complicated. And at first glance, it is. But let me try to break it down, okay? I'll do the simplest one first. Okay, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to close the furnace up. The way that we do that is that we have to light up each of these symbols over here, okay? Now, how do we do that? Doesn't do anything, okay. You see these kind of buttons on the back of this fly's, it's not really a fly, but whatever it is, it's back. When you extend those, then parts of symbols will get formed in these right here. So I'm going to extend the first and the second, and then let's take a look. Do any of these match? Well, we see this here. So we come over to this slot here. So this symbol matches with this one. These buttons down here say, okay, the one on the right is the one I want to activate, and if this symbol matched with anything here, then we would push that, and it would be the one, and then it would go with that one. So that's basically how that works. And if I remember right, that's the only one we do here. Basically, you have to go through all the different combinations. So that's 1 and 2. So let's do 1 and 3 and see what we've got. Okay, I see a match over here. So we're saying, you know, the one on the left matches, and that one doesn't match to anything. Nope. Okay. Doesn't look like it anyway. I want to double check. Nope. All right, so we've done 1 and 2, and we've done, let's see, what have we done here? Okay, yeah, so we've done everything here except for 2 and 3. All right. So this one, both of these match. All right. So at this point, you might say, okay, so we've gone through all of those. What now? These dials here will change the colors of this. So if I change that, now it's green. So this one now matches this symbol. So that's there. And now we just kind of go through the same process. So this was 2 and 3 are activated. Let's do 1, and let's actually reset that. Let's put it to green. That little button here resets his head. I just don't want to get messed up here. So that's 1 and 2. And so that one matches. Yes. Okay. All right. Let's do 1 and 3. And then 2 and 3. And I think... Oh, we need to do... Hold on. That one. Maybe. Lost track. Okay, we did 1 and 2. Hold on. Did 1 and 2. Did 1 and 3. And we do 2 and 3. Okay, so I think we got all of those. All right, so then we just go to blue now. There's that. Okay, so that's 2 and 3, so we need 1 and 3. That not right? Oh no, this one. All right, and then 1 and 3. 1 and 2, I guess. Yep, these two. Now it's completely closed.
No more genocide today, monsters. No more embers will be delivered now. I'm certain I'll find Graven resting in his pod.
Let me save that, because I'd rather not
Save game.
do that again.
Return to game.
All right. So we were just given the hint that we can find Graven in his pod. Why don't we go back to the pod? Talk to him.
There you are. I was beginning to get worried. I thought something terrible might happen to you at the furnace, especially since your memory is gone.
No, I don't remember much of anything. I wouldn't even know my own name if you hadn't told me.
Every Cyclopean child knows the name of Grimwall. You're the great hero of the War of the One.
All right, and I believe the only thing that we have to talk to him about is the authorization, I think. Let me actually try this. Hold on.
Take my advice. That harness you're wearing won't get you past every security device. You might want to see the cyber technician for an upgrade.
That's what it was. So he gives you that hint, but if you ask him about it beforehand, he'll tell you what the... So let's pretend like we didn't do that.
Graven, Chick-Tock requires authorization to upgrade my ID harness. Who can do that?
Normally, Gromna is the only one who can authorize such upgrades. But with the increased activity in the Queen's chambers, he remains there almost exclusively. I think we can fool Chick-Tock if I make my position sound important enough.
What should I say?
Tell him that your authorization comes from Graven, protege of Gromna, honorable assistant to Her Majesty. That should do it.
So basically, if we've done the right dialogue options, we can get the solution for how to get the authorization before he gives us the hint to ask for the authorization.
That evil machine will be silent for a while.
Evil? It's just a furnace, isn't it?
The thing was burning children, Graven. Cyclopean children.
What? But how can this be? Gromna would never allow such a thing to happen.
We actually don't have to ask him about this.
Gromna. That's the name
we'll do the dialogue.
Using at the furnace. They said he's giving the orders to burn the children's bodies.
That's absurd. He's my mentor, a brilliant entomologist. He'd never...
What?
Entomologist. He's our foremost specialist on insects. That's why the Peace Council chose him for this mission.
I tell you it's true, Graven. Something is terribly wrong here, and I think that this Gromna person is somehow involved. You must help me.
I'm sorry, but I can't. Not unless you have some physical proof to back up these wild accusations.
Very well. If proof is what you want, then that's what you'll get.
So we have to go get proof that Gromna's actually evil and killing children and all that. We don't have to actually get that dialogue option. We can just get the evidence and then come back with it later and prove it to him. I might skip past this dialogue a little bit. Well, let me see here.
War of the One. Can you tell me...
It's been a while since I've looked at this.
You are confused, aren't you? The War of the One was a pivotal point in the history of our people. For years, we had fought the insectoids, neither side gaining ground as the planet was ravaged by countless battles. The Makers, creators of all and of nothing, watched silently for many years before taking action. They spoke to the leaders of both sides through grand visions, declaring that there was to be one final battle for supremacy. The victor would rule the planet, and the defeated race would be forced underground, never to return to the surface again.
We won?
Yes, thanks to you. You destroyed nearly a third of the troops, all by yourself.
If we won, then why are these things back above ground?
No one really knows. Actually, no one really believed the story of the War of the One, or thought that there were any insectoids. Until now.
Hey, what is our mission?
Mission? What mission? What the hell is going on here?
We were sent here to examine this hive a few months ago. We were captured, but Gromna convinced the Queen to put aside her plans of conquest and negotiate a peace treaty. Since then, it's been peaceful for both sides. In fact, tomorrow is the day that both leaders will meet to sign the treaty.
All right. Enough of that. So, we need to get our harness upgraded in order to get into higher access places. So, let's actually go in. Thank you.
Who designed these robotics?
Gromna, Honorable Assistant to Her Majesty.
Where is he?
He is within the Queen's chambers. Since it is the eve of retribution, there is much preparation required. His plan must be executed perfectly.
Eve of retribution?
Are your memory pathways in need of service? The eve of retribution is known by us all. As of tomorrow, we will return to our rightful position as the dominating race of the planet. Under the guise of peace, we shall collect a debt that has been unpaid for decades.
What plan do you speak of?
Your memory banks must be fluctuating. Gromna has seen the error of his kind's ways, and has come to aid us in our desire for revenge. With his gift of cybernetics, we shall once again rule the surface.
Alright, so Gromna is obviously very evil.
How will this gift aid us? Are we not mighty enough to conquer the Cyclops without them?
Without the speed of cybernetics, we would be vulnerable to the nuclear fire which the enemy controls, incinerated before we even reach the city. But with the aid of cybernetics, we will be swarming within the walls of the capital before their hands can even reach the launch buttons. The dawn will bring the age of the insectoid. It is inevitable.
Okay, let's ask for that upgrade.
I require my ID harness to be upgraded.
Upon whose authorization will I grant this procedure?
Graven, protege of Gromna, honorable assistant to Her Majesty.
Graven, hold while I search my databanks for confirmation. My records indicate that Graven is the assistant to Gromna. However, his authorization alone is not enough. I will need to verify that you are of sufficient age to be placed within the Royal Guard. Proceed to limb scanner for positive age identification.
Alright, and the scanner is over here.
Some kind of scanning unit.
And if we put our own arm in there, that doesn't, work. Can we put our own arm in there? What happens if you do that?
The opening is far too small for my arm.
Oh, so it doesn't even let you do it. Alright. So what we need to do...
The furnace operator's mechanical limb.
Take the limb of Chick-Tock who died. Who we killed, really.
Age requirements verified. Upgrade authorized. Step forward to have ID harness upgraded. Prepare for upgrade treatment.
The upgrade treatment. So now we get flashbacks of rainforest.
Treatment? What treatment?
A treatment. They found a way to slow down the disease. It says here that a Dr. Morgan was ultimately responsible for developing the dnav treatment. Didn't you study with the Dr. Morgan back in med school?
I was still a sophomore when he earned his doctorate.
Well, the treatment's called HOPE. It's supposed to decelerate the growth of the dnav, almost doubling the lifespan of affected children.
The Aztecs found a way to survive the plague of Quetzalcoatl without conventional modern medicine. Well, hey, if Morgan is close to a cure, a true cure, then maybe he can use another set of hands. Maybe it's time to pack up here and go home.
Okay, so some comments in a second.
Dizzy. Can't concentrate.
All right, so we get there a very clear reference to the Aztecs. That's going to come up later. And that scene, I think, is the first time where it's all sort of put together. And if you haven't sort of figured it out yet, in the real world, there is a disease called dnav that's affecting children. And Max was working on finding a cure. But Dr. Morgan was working on a drug called the Hope drug, which would supposedly cure this or be in the works for curing it. And we've heard both dnav and the Hope drug referenced on the radios before. And if you remember just a chapter ago, that radio said that the Hope drug was not working and children were dying again. So it's all sort of starting to come together here. But since our harness is upgraded, we can go in here.
Royal Guard class confirmed. Enter.
Yes!
All right, what's inside here? Gross.
By the Maker! These are Cyclops babies!
Dr. Morgan? What test is this?
Ah, Max. You're just in time. This is a test of the subject's threshold. The serum will travel directly to the neurotransmitters of the brain and without actually harming the monkey, cause it to feel excruciating pain all over its body.
What? Well, that's not an experiment. It's torture! What possible purpose?
When you outrank me in lab years, Max, you can question the methods. I see the potential fruits of our research, and that justifies the means. A valuable lesson in scientific research, Max. In layman's terms, you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs.
Okay, I don't know. That was a bit too much even for this game. I mean, the guy's literally making a monkey feel excruciating pain for no reason. See, if you didn't hate him already.
This Cyclops is half bug.
Let's talk to him.
Who are you?
Gritza.
Gritza?
Yes, that's my name. Gang claim.
Where are you from? Where are you from?
From Team Ream.
Team? What team is that?
Search.
Okay, I don't want to listen to all of this. Okay, from the research team.
Gromna? He was your leader and betrayer? How did he betray you?
Betrayer? He did this to me. My body.
Okay.
Not Cyclops.
So he did experiments.
What has he done to you? What experiments?
Quest wants to live forever. These insects as the answer.
What? I don't understand. What answer? What are you doing here?
My duty to the Queen.
And what is your duty?
What duty is that?
Tend the young ones.
Okay. There's something about I can't stand it in games when characters like really elongate their sentences. I don't know.
These bottles have
I don't have the patience for it.
Clones, Gromna's pets.
Okay. So, let's try grabbing one of them.
No, my strength will break the bottle. I need something to cut it free. Grab.
And what did we pick up earlier?
Insectoid pincher. The edges are sharp.
I was back in the other room where we got the upgrade. It just looks like we sort of slap it in the face, but, nah. Okay. I can't remember where I need to save this to make this work, so I'm going to save it here first. If I have another opportunity, I'll save it again. I'll see if I can do this trick. It may or may not work in this version. We'll find out. So, give it the bottle to him. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, this was an odd part. So you can give it to him, but giving him the baby just brings up the dialogue. So you have to... The optimal thing to do is to just talk to him.
I brought you the proof you asked for, Graven. Are you going to help me?
By the makers. Yes, of course. I suppose we should search Gromna's pod. Come on. I have his globe code.
Okay. Here's where we're going to do a little quick save. And I think so we talk to him, right? And do code.
What's the globe code, Graven?
Immortal. That's the word to unlock the door.
Password?
Immortal.
Enter.
So we come in here.
What are those?
They appear to be schematics of some kind. Judging by the shape and general mass, I'd say they were diagrams of the Great Machine.
Great Machine? What's that?
It's the huge round piece of machinery that sits on the edge of the hive. Some say it was left there by the makers themselves. Others think that it's a power source of some type. It used to emit a weird humming noise, but now it remains silent.
What?
According to these notes, 2 parts may have been removed to aid the insectoids. I need to visit the Great Machine and see for myself.
Okay, so we're going to redo that just to see if I can get it. So you notice here how he says he needs to visit it himself. He walks around there. Now, in the original, and this takes a long time before we can get control again. In the original, there is a trick that you can do, and so we'll see if it works here. I don't know. They may have patched it out. But we will see. Oh, wait, no. It was the quick save. We'll try this like once, maybe.
What's the...
Not that.
Password?
Immortal.
Enter. What are...
Okay. Let's see if this works. Good. Come on, get in front of him, get in front of him. There we go, we got it. Okay, cool. I think that's a cool one. Now we have to come out of this now and go back in. So, here's what I think happens. So, we do the little movement trick that we've been doing before. With that, very, very tight window where there's like a frame or two of the cursor there to walk. We start walking, and we get in front of Graven, and he stops moving. I think that the game is programmed with maybe a failsafe, or maybe it's just the way that it's programmed, such that when he stops moving, that's when he despawns and the game sort of moves on. Maybe, I don't know if that's like a fail-safe or if that's like a bug. I don't know. But it's kind of a cool trick that you can do that, and then you skip having to wait him walk very slowly out of there.
This pillow appears to be rather lumpy. Aha! A key! Gromna's notes. They say that the sound generator
Speed
will
tech,
open
yep.
the worm transport tube.
There are few techniques in here that are neat, but that was one of them.
These designs, I do not understand them.
All right. So, we learned from here that there's like a sound generator. And here's a key. And the key was under the pillow.
Gravins.
And the key opens the safe. And inside the safe is a sound generator.
A control device. It seems to be generating an odd sound.
All right. So, what do we do with this? Well, you may have noticed back in this room here, there's this sphincter. And we need to go inside of it.
Must I pass through the bowels of the monster?
Yes.
Hello, my children. Yes, Father is here.
There's Gromna.
Father is here. Yes, my children.
So in the background there, you may have heard like a little musical sort of number. That's the passcode to this that we need to know. This, I think, is kind of an unfair puzzle. It's basically a music puzzle. But let me talk to this guy first and see. We'll see if he has anything significantly different from the previous worker.
Who are you?
I am
Grimwall.
Okay, so it's basically the same sort of thing. He's probably going to tell us. Yeah. All right, it's the same kind of thing.
What are you doing?
He's feeding the clones. All right. That's fine. It's a long dialogue that's kind of boring. Now, I'm going to turn down the in-game volume because in the past, like way down for 1 second, because what I found is that in the pop-up puzzles, the game does not respect your sound settings. So I just turned the desktop audio way down.
These grubs are making some kind of faint noise. I wonder...
Well, let me see. Okay. So, believe me when I say, so I have this down to like negative 40 decibels, and it's peaking like, yeah. You won't be able to hear it on your end so much, but it's loud. It's very loud. So we got that wrong, obviously. But it's a music puzzle. We have to match the sound that we heard in the cutscene. So you might think, well, how unfair is that? It was just one cutscene, and what am I supposed to go watch the cutscene again? Well, you can. The other thing that you can do. Let me turn the volume back up.
Children in cages! Everything I see in this place enrages me more!
If you talk to them, they will sing the password again. Yeah. Now, why I think it's unfair, though, like for people who are not musically inclined, I've seen people really struggle with this puzzle, like really badly. And I think part of it is that the notes sound different. Like this is like sort of humming. When you go into the puzzle, it is the same notes, but they're like mechanically distorted, and that, tends to, really mess sort of people up on me. It's just it just does not sound the same to people. And I know, like, one of my friends who described himself as tone deaf spent like an hour or longer on just trying to figure it out and listening to it over and over again. And I've seen people stream this and just have a lot of difficulties. So we're going to get the answer here. I just need to look it up again. Left, right, right. Okay. So it should be...
These grubs.
There you go.
Yes.
And that is it. But if you, I think it's a really hard music puzzle if you are not like musically inclined, especially. And the other thing too, if you have like how are you supposed to know to let me actually do this. How are you supposed to know to even listen to the kids? Like, there's a little hint when you go to use the machine that the kids are humming. But also, I think...
Settings. Audio options.
I believe... Let's see here. Ambient volume. I believe that you can hear it in the ambient sounds. Let's see.
Return to game.
Now that's just them talking. Turn that back
Settings.
down.
Audio options. Return to game.
All right. Now, thankfully, we don't have to put that in again. But yeah, so you have to listen to the kids over and over again in order to get that. Now, over here, we've got kind of a grotesque situation again.
How can I save these children from such an atrocity?
And here's one piece that
Gravins?
that Gravin needs.
A piece of machinery. I hope this is what Gravin wanted.
All right, so let's go back to Gravin. There's another place that we can go to here, but it's more efficient to go to it later. Annoyingly, when you go back through this, you have to use the sound generator again. You can't just click on this. So if I...
Piece of machinery.
Sound generator. There we go. And we're going to toss this over to Gravin.
Huh?
Oh, great. Now I'm stranded here.
Sorry. This flimsy stuff wasn't made to support my weight. Crap. A piece of machine... A piece of machine...
Oof. Where did you find this?
It was powering some type of machine that drained the blood out of the children and fed the queen.
This is awful. How could I have been so wrong about Gromna?
DNA test cycle initiated.
Perfect. Second. No!
Molecular cohesion negative.
Damn it!
Okay. Let's talk about portal.
What is it?
It appears to be a miniature wormhole.
Have you figured out the purpose of the machine?
Part of it. But I need time to properly study it. Gromna has removed 2 pieces from it. Generators of some kind. I need to attach the missing pieces to get the machine running again. Unfortunately, only Gromna knows where they are.
All right, so now there's only one last thing to do. We need to get the other piece of the machine.
A sound...
And to do that, we come up here. Now, it's a little hard to see, so you could be forgiven for missing it. But over here on the left-hand side, there's this little rope.
I'll have to climb up there somehow.
And we see Gromna making a speech.
Waiting. The time has come. Today you assemble as outsiders, invaders. Tomorrow
your troops will sweep down upon the city in a murderous wave of retribution. For too long, you have known suffering. You have dwelt beneath the surface and watched your aggressors live in lands where you once lived. Will you remain underground forever? Can you endure this terrible injustice for one more day? Though I am one of them, I too have been oppressed by your enemy. They laughed at me and my work. The very work which has given you your new cybernetic enhancements. The technology which will mow down all opposition in the coming war. The work which will allow you to overrun the capital city of Gromna and assume your rightful place as rulers of this planet. Your planet! Your time has come. Tomorrow's end will see the end of the Cyclopean Age and the dawn of the insectoids.
So if we had any doubts as to his intentions and evil character, there we go.
Make your speeches now, traitor. You won't have breath for long. These controls are similar to those Gravin used to create the portal.
My God, that's it! All along, it's been so simple.
Could it be? My God, that's it! All along, the answer has been right here! Right in front of my eyes the whole time!
Now what? The whole damn hive will be bearing down on us any second now.
Hold on. I figured it out. The second piece serves as a compass for the wormhole. With this, I can open a doorway anywhere. I'm setting the coordinates for the chambers of the Peace Council. When we tell them about Gromna, they'll launch a preemptive nuclear strike against the hive. That's it!
So after this transition, we'll
done some incredible
debrief a
work,
second.
Max. It's really a shame.
Now where am I? Cyclops? Bugs? Mother? All of these monsters must mean something, but what?
So in the flashback cutscene, we saw Max trying to search for a cure for the disease that's killing children that we've been hearing about the whole time. And it's not entirely clear the first time you play the game what that sort of means. But if you remember in the cutscene before that, Max is looking for a solution like where the Aztecs were, and then that last cutscene, he looks over to the picture of him next to the Aztec ruins, and there was something that he discovered in the Aztec ruins that sort of was an aha moment in order to actually make the cure for the disease work. This scared me the first time it happened.
Beware, Max. The closer you come to reaching your goal, the more danger you are in. Someone seeks to keep you here with us forever. One who will do anything to keep you from leaving the asylum.
Why? Who conspires against me?
I can only say that if you leave, it will mean this person's downfall. But your time is short. Waste not fruitless questions on me. The air grows thick with frost, and soon I must return to my eternal slumber.
It's getting cold.
The temperature is dropping. They want you to sleep, like me, forever.
Forever?
You must escape this cold tomb, for there are other secrets frozen in time.
All right, so we got to get out of here. There's a little puzzle here. It almost doesn't count as a puzzle, in my opinion. But one thing to sort of notice, I guess, is that there's a little bit of a delay in the puzzle loading. And if you start clicking during like the black part, you can start doing the puzzle before it actually fully loads.
Need to get...
At least you could in the old version. Let's see if that's the same case here.
The only way. Must open the door and get out of here.
Let's see if this actually works. Yep, well, it worked a little bit. But this one is actually running pretty fast, so maybe not. So all that you have to do here is move this, make this come up. And you notice when you push this over here, it kind of pushes this gear closer. So we do that again. Okay, now it's touching that gear. And now we just need to push it the other way, and it starts pushing that gear. I think that these things here, like, reset it. There's no reason to do that. Like, ever. Okay, now that they're both there, we can just... Sure, we should be able to turn it. There we go. It barely qualifies as a puzzle. All right. I really like this level. I think this is my favorite of, like, the shorter levels. Because it's so... Partly, I guess the speedrunner in me likes the fact that you sort of just do a little loop. Show you what I mean.
What the hell are you doing?
Excuse me?
Cutting my research department in half? Pulling most of my funding, despite the fact that my department, my research is coming remarkably close to a cure?
Oh, your research. May I remind you that the Mercy Foundation was created around the success of my hope drug, not vague promises of a cure. Rather than wasting resources on an entirely new path, you need to channel your energies toward making the hope drug better. I thought that a few cutbacks would communicate this to you. Maybe you're not as bright as I thought.
You know, I think I figured you out. You're not interested in a cure. You just want hope to bring you more prestige, more money. You smart bastard. Give me back my department, otherwise I'll leave. I'll take my research with me and find a company that's more concerned with finding a cure than filling its pockets.
I can't believe that your opinion of me is so low, Max. We're friends. You're blowing the whole thing out of proportion, taking this personally. Your sister didn't die of dnav, Max.
I apologize.
No, it's all right. Those cutbacks are based solely on existing statistics. The truth is that it's difficult to measure the success of your research against the proven methods of the hope treatment. Look, you don't have to leave Mercy to continue with your project. I'll look over the numbers again. We'll work something out.
Feel dizzy.
All right, yeah, so becoming abundantly clear here that Dr. Morgan is only concerned about profits as opposed to creating a proper cure for dnav.
An empty brass urn.
And grab the urn. Over here, we need...
A book of matches.
The matches? It's a little hard to tell, I think, that this is something you can pick up,
Dr.
but...
Morgan has an iron bust of himself. Pretentious.
Now, there are also, I think... There are, like...
Nice oak desk. Sturdy.
Okay. Where is it that you read the things? I can't remember. There's a place where you...
The number 3 is written on this page.
Okay, there we go. So anyway, there's a lot of pages that have, like...
The valley represents a king on his throne.
Descriptions of symbols.
Circle at the bottom of the hieroglyph symbolizes the king's subject and the world at his feet. Looks like there was a picture, but it's been ripped out.
And you can kind of look at the different pages if I remember right. That's the solution to a puzzle later, but if you know it, you don't have to look at that at all.
Bust of Morgan.
So we use this, throw it against the crack in the wall, grab it again, throw it again.
Yes!
I smell gas. Must be an open valve nearby.
What do we have? We have
Pipe U-joint.
pipe U-joint that we need to grab. We turn on the gas.
Pipe valve.
Come back in here. We go to this room. In here, there's a toolbox.
A bunch of tools in here. A monkey wrench.
Okay. This will...
How do I start up this gruesome thing? Aha!
It's not actually a puzzle. You just have to click on it once. And then you have to cremate a body to get an item. And I don't think that there is a... that there's a hint to do it. I think you just have to know.
The tag on this body says 7.
I think it's this one. But this might just be a trial and error puzzle. But you cremate a body. Oh, I think I know now.
Ugh. Hope this isn't anyone I know.
And in the ashes...
A glass eye. Don't think the owner will miss it.
I think I just figured out how you know the solution to that puzzle. It's been a while. It's the number of... You find out in a second that you need to do something with one of... I don't know what these are actually called. But one of the slabs, I guess? I don't know. And so I guess that's number 7.
The doors have frozen shut.
But we can't get in there yet. So they're frozen shut, so what do we need to do? We've turned on the furnace. We need to kind of reroute some things here.
That ought to defrost this whole building.
All right, you can very clearly hear someone telling us that he's not dead in there.
It feels much warmer in here.
I think he's in here. Nope, not there. Now, that's interesting. Let me see here.
Setting. Audio options.
Okay. So there is a quality option that exists in the original and the GOG version of the game that is not present here. It was apparently for slower computers to it cut down on sort of the amount of things that were happening, kind of like the detail slider in the Sierra games. And if you have that all the way down, then you cannot hear this guy talking. And in the speedrun, you actually don't even free him at all, so it's a little bit cruel.
Someone's alive in there. An old man. He looks cold.
No kidding.
Who are you?
My name's Arthur. Arthur Patrick. Yes, that's it.
What are you doing in the drawer?
Last thing I remember, I was taking a nap in the courtyard, and then they were dragging me to some weird laboratory.
On the rooftop?
Could be. I don't know for sure. It was raining. I smelled blood. Dr. Morgan was there. He looked at me and said I was too damn old for his purposes, and I remember he was holding a human head. And then I think I fainted. They must have thought I was dead. Next thing I knew, I was in that drawer. It scared all to hell.
Being in that drawer is enough to scare anyone.
Darn right. Dark and closed in. Terrible cold. God, that awful scratching.
What scratching?
Scratching? What exactly was it?
Can't say for sure. Just remember hearing these awful screeching and scraping noises nearby.
Nearby where? Outside?
Yeah, it's kind of disorienting in there, you know. It sounded muffled, but I guess the sound was coming from another drawer.
Morgan, he was holding a head?
Sure, a stack of Bibles. I saw it. His arms were red with blood, and he was swinging around the head as he was talking, kind of gesturing with it, you know. He was really yelling at the two orderlies if some patient got loose or something. I don't know more than that, because I fainted dead away at that point.
It was a bit chilly in there, wasn't it?
Chilly? I damn near froze my ass off. Started to fall asleep. Must have dozed off until you came by. Did you turn up the heat?
Yes, I did.
Well, it's nice here now. Thank you, Sonny.
All right. Enough of him there. Okay, so you know what? Before, I was thinking that you would learn about the number 7 from the numbers on here, but you can't read the numbers, so I guess that's incorrect. Wait, this was ours, wasn't it?
Empty. Wait a second. There are scratches all over the inside. It's dark in here. I can't quite make out what these scratches are.
All right. So there are scratches in there. We need to see them. That's why we have the matchbook.
These scratches don't look arbitrary. Was someone trying to communicate something?
So we can't see anything.
Now what?
But
a glass eye.
We have the...
Don't think the owner will miss it.
Glass eye here. And if we kind of mouse over it, we can see what it says. There's something about a man and a tree and pointing a tree and speaking to a tree. You don't actually have to read all of this, though.
Well, that was an eye-opening experience.
Okay. So now we know enough to leave. We say adios to the old man. Again, in the speedrun, you just leave him in there like the cruel person you are. All right. If I remember right, what we have to do... Oh, yes.
An empty
Oh, forgot something. So we have to go get the ashes and put them in the urn.
An empty...
So what you're supposed to do, obviously, is do that while you're in that room. And...
Difficult to read. Isn't there an old trick about rubbing soot on worn carvings to make them legible?
Yep, that old trope. So...
Brass urn.
We don't have soot, but we do have ashes.
Not from here.
And I don't know why you can't do it from there, but okay. And...
The ashes show faint scratches. A name. Paul Stark.
Okay, so we learn the name of a person there, which we'll need in a second. This is a little bizarre, but here's a weird-looking tree. Do you remember the trees that were around the fountain in that one level in the sanitarium? Same sort of character model, and Max had remarked about how it was a strange tree, so he comes back here.
The tree, it moves!
Let's talk to the tree.
Speak to me, tree!
We learned this phrase from the inside of the drawer.
Why have you summoned me, stranger? Normally it is the man with the glass eye who speaks the words of commandment.
I'm afraid he's dead, but he left behind the cryptic message.
This was the scratches inside of the drawer.
Very well. What is it that you seek?
Who are you?
My name is Malus Ionsis. I am the guardian of the light, protector of the grove.
How do you guard the light? It's all around us.
Fool! The light. It is housed within the heart of ancient Marti warriors. They alone understand the true meaning of sacrifice.
I don't understand. What do you sacrifice?
Freedom, movement, growth. My limbs ache to stretch upwards into the nurturing sunlight, yet I must remain steadfast, lest my trunk stray from its position in the grove. I am he who must remain in place.
Why must the grove be protected?
Greed, pride, evil. These aspects of humanity threaten all life. Thus I remain, and none may pass, save one.
Who?
The Creator.
The Creator?
Yes. By his name only shall I be swayed from my place.
And so we learned his name from the tombstone.
In the name of your Creator, Paul Stark, I command you to move aside.
Paul Stark, the Creator. He who planted my seed and gave me life. In his name, I do as commanded.
Hey, and what is back here?
Strange place for such a thing. Is that a crystal heart?
Okay, grab this.
Strange and wonderful prism. It seems to focus the light that passes through it.
All right, and then the only thing that we can really do is come over here. I forget what happens when you do this.
The sculptor conveniently forgot her shirt. What's she holding?
That's sort of a hint, I suppose. But we cannot get into this door here at
Strange and wonderful.
So the only light around here that we can pass through the prism is this. So why don't we do that?
Yes, the light! It's opening the door!
So we kind of moved the light, bounced off that to there.
Well, Max, I don't know how you found me, but you're too late. I'm leaving now, leaving you here with the rest of the dead people.
Damn you, Morgan!
All right, so then we have a puzzle here. We can read some more papers here that will tell us the answer to this puzzle, but basically what we have to do is that...
Save game.
We need to arrange some symbols in the correct order.
Turn to game.
Looks like an Aztec calendar. But something's wrong. There's a device hooked up to it.
Okay, let's go to it.
This isn't a normal Aztec calendar. Some of the parts move.
Let me see if this still works. Okay. In a weird oddity, I don't know why this is. This is the only pop-up puzzle of the game where if you go into it,
normal Aztec
you can
calendar.
exit it by pressing Control. You can do it like everything else. You can't do that, but for this, for some reason, if you hit Control, it'll escape the puzzle. Just a weird
Save game.
weird thing that I'm not really sure why. Okay, I'm saving it just in case I mess this up. So there might be an even faster way of doing this, but this is the faster way I found, and I
Some of the parts
found it like I did many of the strategies of this game just watching people do Let's Plays. So if you do each of these one across, okay, and then we keep going. There's that. And then we kind of keep doing this until they all line up. Let's see, that one. Like that. And then... Ooh, let me think here. Like that.
Yes.
There we go.
What the?
Now this is the really weird one. So we've been talking about like Aztecs kind of throughout the game periodically. In the very first level, we talked about warriors and how they were lost. And now we are Olmec, god of the Aztecs.
Here is the woman whose magic summoned me.
And okay.
Old woman, what is your station?
By the Great Spirits, you have arrived. I thought your arrival to be merely a vision, but here you stand, Olmec, the holy warrior. Praise the gods.
Still your tongue, old crone. I asked your station. What is it?
Forgive me. My name is Titio. I am the village oracle.
Olmec is pretty cool actually, because he takes no crap from anyone.
Why have you come to greet me, old one? Where is the village chieftain?
He is repairing the village, great one. Forgive us, for we are few in number.
What of this village? Why was I summoned?
It is Quetzalcoatl, Holy One. He has returned.
What nonsense is this? He sits on his majestic throne in the heavens, not in this pathetic dung heap of a village.
Oh, no, Sacred One. He truly has returned, just as prophesied on the Wall of Sorrow.
Alright, it's the one about Quetzalcoatl.
If you speak the truth, then I must see him. Where is he?
He stands atop the angry mountain, your grandness. He is using his magic to bring forth the blood of the land to kill us all.
The Jaguar Temple still stands?
Yes, it withstood both the flood and the rock slides. He intends to melt the very stones of the temple itself with the blood of the angry mountain, destroying what's left of the village.
Your tale told of the shaven-head Otanmi warriors. Where are they?
Quetzalcoatl slaughtered them as if they were children. And now their shades roam the land, trapped here by his wicked magic.
Shades, eh? Can they not fight still in these new forms?
Nay, fearless one, they are but lost souls, trapped between life and death. Their inability to battle their foe has driven them mad. They rant only crazed things in the voices of ghosts.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, if you remember way back to the beginning of the game, the kid who was talking about ghosts and spirits and warriors was talking about this. And I think he even mentioned that they were like fallen warriors. So we're going to see these guys occasionally.
His soul still dwells here.
And we do need to talk to all of them, at the very least, to learn their names. I don't know if I'll go through the entire dialogue tree with all of them.
Spirit, what say you?
Shame. Eternal shame. Died in vain.
So what's your name?
What name did you go by in this world?
Myself. Bearer of war. Son of Tentacatl. Village witch.
So I'll spoil it a little bit. There is a puzzle later where you have to recite all the warriors' names in birth order. And so that's why you need to learn their names.
You are the son of Tentacatl?
Yes. Why?
Yeah.
What was your station as warrior, Spirit?
Veteran of many battles. Younger brother of Mixcatl.
Why do you hang your head in shame, brave one?
Could not defeat one warrior. All our clan failed to stop just one man.
So, with one notable exception, all of the ghosts have basically the same dialogue. It's just different as to who they're the father or son of. So we're not going to go through all of that dialogue, but we do need...
Who has been slain by the evil god?
We do need to talk to all of them to learn their names.
Spirit, what say? What name did you...
Okay. We just need to learn their names.
They have honored Quetzalcoatl with this statue, and he repays them with destruction.
All right. Everyone gets a laugh out of this dialogue line.
Big head. Big head.
Oh, that reminds me, we ought to do the sound test because we haven't been Olmec yet.
By the gods. Bah!
Oh. Okay, that's it. So he has fewer than some of the others. Let's talk to this ghost.
One appears to have died very young.
And then,
Spirit! What name did you...
Okay. And then let's go up here. You do not have to go up here. This, well, okay. I'll say that a different way. You do not have to go all the way up here. You do have to...
A large statue. Violent earth magic has made it unstable.
You do have to kick this down. It's kind of cool. What's the lava flow? And what that does is the lava will flow out and get cooled, and now there's a path we can get to the water temple. Okay. So...
You fool. You cannot touch me. In death I have gained much power. The souls of the shaven head upon me feed my magic.
Right. So we don't have to do that.
He is too powerful. I must find a way to destroy the evil one. Perhaps I may find some magical talismans nearby.
Alright. So let's go this way, see what's over here. Speaking of magic, there's a guy over here we need to talk to.
Is this old one preparing for battle? Old man, what say you?
I say that the end is near. Quetzalcoatl will destroy us all, lest I find one who can bring me the pod of might.
What name do you go by, Ancient One?
My name is Tezcatl. I am the village's last hope. It is my duty as village witch to destroy this devil who plagues us.
And then we do need to learn about the pod. We don't have to learn about the temples.
What is this pod you speak of?
The sacred pod of might.
Pod of might.
It contains the seeds I require to finish my spell. Yet, there is no way to reach it.
Why is that?
It clings to the joining tree, surrounded by liquid fire. Not even your stone form could withstand its heat.
Okay, and I can't remember if we have to ask about the spell or not. I'll ask about it anyway.
What spell are you preparing?
It is called the Spirit Fire. It creates a mystic energy wave formed by the souls of the dead.
How does the tree survive if it is surrounded by fire?
It is magic, as is the pod that grows on its mighty trunk. However, the magic is fading, and the limbs will soon wither and burn.
There must be some way to reach it.
Perhaps the ancient rite of the warrior may be the answer.
That's what we need to learn about.
Rite of the warrior? What will that old magic accomplish?
It is old indeed, wise one. Though not practiced for many generations, it is rumored to have the ability to make a warrior impervious to the elements.
Then I will go through the trials. Perform it.
Forgive me, Sacred One. I cannot. I don't remember the complete ceremony. However, the stonemason knows it. He is the village chief now, and is over at the huts.
Okay, let me ask about the temples real quick.
I see the temples are nearly destroyed by Quetzalcoatl's dark magic.
Yes, the totems may be in grave danger.
What totems are you speaking of?
The statues sheltered within the temples. These statues represent the purity of the gods themselves. I believe Quetzalcoatl fears them. Else why would he seek to destroy them?
All right, so we find out there that we need to get into each of the temples to get a totem in each of
Why
them.
do you sit here, idle in the village instead of fighting? What kind of coward are you?
Harsh words, Your Holiness. But I am not merely sitting here. I am meditating to gain the power needed to combat his awful magic.
How do you expect to defeat a god, little man?
I don't. He is very strong. I cannot possibly hope to defeat him. However, if I anger him enough with my spell, he will spend precious energy on me. That should sufficiently weaken him enough for you to defeat him.
You would sacrifice yourself for the village?
It must be done.
All right. Let's go find more spirits to talk to. We already talked to that one. And then, oh, now, yeah, let's do this. Now, we already talked to that one, I think.
This water is impure.
Not the water, the ghost. All right. Yeah, we already talked to this one. Okay. Let's go talk to this one here. Yep, that one.
What does this noble warrior seek? Spirit, what say? What name did you...
Yeah. Now, if I remember right, one of the ghosts that you...
Seems to be a piece of something greater.
Talked to...
Images carved in stone. Somehow
one of the ghosts that you talk to tells you like a story, I believe. I think that's who you get this from. I've always just, looked at the solution to it, and that's not the right solution, of course. So,
images carved in stone.
But basically, there's a story that someone tells you here, and it talks about like the fisherman's code, basically. But the answer is this: 5, 3, 1. Oh wait, hold on. 5, 3, 1, 2, 6, 4. Here we go. If we go in here, and then one more reference.
A ruby fish. Its blood-like coloring must indicate something important.
Yes, they carry through the red herring all the way to the end.
A ruby fish. Its blood-like coloring must indicate something important.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I believe that's the last one. I think that's the last one. But you can actually pick this one up. And no, you cannot use it on anything. Alright. So we talked to that guy, learned his name. I think that there's one warrior who shows up here. Maybe? Yeah, this guy.
This spirit is restless for justice. Spirit, what say you?
Village doomed. My dishonor.
What name did you...
Okay. And then we definitely need to talk to this guy.
An unhappy spirit. Spirit, what say you?
Hard totem. Honor demand to stay true.
So we need to we need to like get to this, and he's guarding it.
What name did you go by in this world, fallen hero?
Okay, so maybe this is who we hear the story from. I think.
Of the seas.
A fisherman?
Okay. Let's see here.
Why do you stand here, fallen one? What does this totem mean to you?
Stand where I fall. Temple of wind, protect, even in death.
I mean no harm to the temple. I am Olmec, holy warrior.
Lies and deceptions, like the evil one, none may pass, all seek to destroy.
You are confused, lost warrior. I speak the truth. Quetzalcoatl is my enemy as well. Step aside so that I may visit the temple.
Prove words true. Act of faith. Perform the test before I grant passage.
Alright, what's the test?
I accept your challenge, Shade. What will be this test of faith?
Gift never given. Wife.
Alright, what's the gift?
A gift for your wife? Of what kind?
Glimmers, circles, heck.
A necklace? Simple enough. I will find one for her and...
No! Special is this. Crafted for her. Baker kept it. Prove words be true.
Alright, so I believe this is where you ask him about the carvings on the water temple.
As a fisherman,
Yeah.
you must be familiar.
Sacred place. Devout.
Okay, so he tells you, but yeah, that's right.
Creed.
He tells you about the creed.
What?
I think, okay, maybe you need to ask his wife about it. I'm not sure. Anyway. All that we really need to do there. Alright, so now we get to go to the village. And why don't we go here first? Nothing in here. Talk to her.
A truly venerable woman. Old woman, what say you?
I see the Oracle was successful in summoning you. Although at this point, I don't see much use in it. The damage has been done. You have no purpose here.
What do you mean by that, bitter crone? I am Olmec. I fight for the gods themselves.
You sound as zealous as my husband. The fool.
What man would be mad enough to wed your sour tongue, old one?
Ha! Quetzalcoatl. The witch is my husband. He fathered 2 fine warriors with me, and now he runs to meet death's embrace. Meanwhile, I must sit obediently while he throws away his life on a fool's errand.
What errand do you speak of?
He plans on fighting that bastard. Undead king using his small magic. He is doomed and will die in vain.
Where are your 2 sons? Did they die in battle?
Yes. Quetzalcoatl shattered their bodies as though they were made of straw. Soon my fool husband will join them, and I'll be truly alone.
What is that you are mixing?
Nothing important, Holy One. Just a simple balm for my aching bones. Age has not been kind to me.
That sounds like the start of a puzzle, but it's not.
Your husband is a brave man, old one. He faces Quetzalcoatl to help the good of the village. He knows he will not survive the battle.
And what of me? I need his protection more than the rest of the village. He should be here for me.
Still your selfish tongue, prone. He does what is required. He faces death as a brave warrior should.
You are as much of a fool as him.
Olmec takes no crap from anybody. Okay, well, what's in here? There's a woman.
Can one woman's sorrow be so great? Woman, what say you? Why do you weep so?
Forgive me, O Holy One, for not showing you the proper respect. But I am racked with grief over the loss of my husband. He died in the battle with Quetzalcoatl.
Who was your husband?
His name was Tepiktok. He was a warrior, but also the village's best fisherman. He lived off the gifts of the sea, and devoutly worshipped the goddess of water. The cool walls of the water temple were to his liking, and he often spent his days in deep meditation and prayer there.
All right, so here's where we would learn of the creed, but...
The spirits are not as you and I.
He lived by the fish.
So this is the little puzzle that you end up solving. So, but we've done it already. We don't need to listen to it.
An empty copper bowl. It must have been used for sacrifices.
All right, one last person to talk to.
This lowly worker appears strong and proud. You there, what is your station?
I was the stonemason. Now I am village chief. What are you? And why do you enter this village?
I am Olmec, holy warrior. You dare address me in that tone?
I do. You may frighten the others, but you'll get no such satisfaction from me. Where were you when we needed you most? Your arrival now means nothing to me. You're too late.
You say I am late, but you are wrong.
Is that so? My precious daughter lies crushed beneath these rocks. The day Quetzalcoatl arrived, I prayed to your god with all my heart, and you come to us now? The warriors are dead. The temples are in ruins. My daughter is dead.
You say your daughter is dead. How do you know?
She was in her hut when the rocks fell. Look around you. Death is everywhere. I have lost everything that is dear to me.
Death is everywhere. Okay.
Mason, I would have a word with you. I have spoken with the spirit of Tepetak, warrior and husband to Kalki-Hut.
The fisherman? His spirit remains here?
Yes. You have the necklace that belongs to his wife. Give it to her, or I will shatter your limbs like twigs.
Very well. Tell your spirit I will deliver his gift.
He's not messing around, is he? Okay, now don't worry about those other dialogue options. We'll come back to those. So now we can talk to the ghost. Talk to the ghost. And talk about the necklace.
I have spoken with the Mason dead one.
He's gonna give it to us. So that's fine. So now he lets us go past.
Big totem pole. There. The way is open to me.
And we get a pretty gruesome scene here too. Everybody's dead. Flies buzzing around.
Boulders are no match for the mighty Olmec. You must be the stonemason's daughter. Your parents miss you greatly. I will take you home.
I thought she was dead. Whee!
Kotlkyu, my daughter, you have returned from death.
Fool! She was trapped within the temple. Had you not been so stubborn and full of self-pity, you would have realized that.
Oh, my precious daughter. I'm so sorry. Go see your mother. She misses you terribly.
Okay. Is her mother in here? Oh, she is in here.
Why does this woman worry?
Well, she shouldn't be worried. Her daughter's back, right?
Woman, what say you?
Olmec, you have come to us. Thank the gods, for our prayers have been answered.
Yes, your prayers reach me, and I am here. What is your station?
I am the wife of the chieftain.
I have found your daughter, woman.
Oh, thank you, Olmec. You have brought hope back into the lives of myself and my husband. As long as we have hope, the future will remain as bright as the sun.
Alright, whatever. Okay. So now it's time to talk to him. I believe now is the time to talk to him about this rite. Let's see here. Do we need to talk to him about being a mason?
You say you were the stonemason.
Yes, that is my trade. Like my father before me and his father before him, I work the earth, shaping it to my will. I am a simple craftsman who now rules what's left of this village, a heavy burden on my weary shoulders.
There are worse fates, Mason.
I know. I have seen what happens to those who oppose Quetzalcoatl's rule.
Maybe it's warrior.
I have found your daughter.
Oh, there we go. That's what it
It
is.
is time for me to undergo the rite of the warrior.
You are truly honorable, Olmec. Please find it in your heart to forgive me.
Oh, that's right. If you don't find his daughter first and ask to do the right, then he
Yes, of course. There are two
he won't let
phases
you do it.
The first, an act of bravery and heroism. You've already shown that by returning my daughter to me. Second, you must recite the names of the warriors who have come before you in order of their lineage.
Oh.
I'd like to undergo the second stage of the ritual.
Do you know all 6 names of the warriors who came before you?
Yes, I do.
Then let us begin, Olmec. Name the 6 warriors, starting with the youngest and ending with the eldest.
So there's an easy way of doing this. You just have to remember XO, kind of like tic-tac-toe, but I don't think they meant it that way.
Zilunen.
Oh.
Ometak.
And then you just go to the first one and then just spam click so it's in order.
You are most wise, Grand Olmec. You are now ready for
It's
the
like
ancient
XO and then the first one and you spam
to
click.
me by my father and his father before him. To protect you from the mighty elements, I must combine your stone flesh with my blood and the magics of the earth. This will create a temporary magical barrier between yourself and the forces of nature.
How long will it last?
Not long. You must be swift in your quest. Blood of the holy, flesh of the warrior, married to the heart of the land in a union of protection and power. Hear my prayers for divine conjuring. Bring forth the sacred magics of the deep earth to shield this noble warrior from the harsh elements. It is done. Go forth and fulfill your destiny, Olmec. The fate of our village lies in your hands.
All right, so now we have protection from the lava that is around this tree over here. So we can go grab this. And you know what? I think we can do this. Yeah, I think it's optimal to do it this way now. So this is what this guy over here needed. He needed the pod. Have the pod.
I have the pod of might, Old One. Here, work your magic.
Very good. Thank you, Sacred One. I will begin at once. I go to fulfill my destiny. May my sacrifice save the village.
So yeah, he did sacrifice himself.
Although honorable in your sacrifice, the village is still in danger, Old One. Quetzalcoatl has powerful magic at his disposal.
Mask.
Mask? What mask do you speak
Hopefully
of?
not the Mask of Eternity.
Mask. His power comes from it.
Where is it?
'Tis beyond my reach.
Below the maze.
All right, so we know we need to find a mask that's below us somehow. And if I remember right...
Empty copper bowl. It must have been used for sacrifices.
I don't think you can get the blood until you talk to him. Little adventure game thing. Okay, so there is something from his hut over here that we need. His little house.
A crystal heart.
Need the heart. We don't know that we need it now, obviously, but... Alright, back over we go. So, we got the totem from the water temple. There are 2 other temples that we need to go to and solve puzzles to. Before I forget, let me do a little quick save there. So this puzzle is not really a music puzzle, even though it seems like it. Basically what you're supposed to do is use the symbols, not like the, symbols, like the music thing, to shatter this,
A large
this crystal.
I can see something inside.
And if I remember right, what you have to do is do it in order from biggest to smallest.
These gongs produce music. The wind totem.
Go. That is the wind totem. And now we just need the, I believe it's the jaguar totem. And this puzzle, you have to pay attention a little bit. If you notice on the side, let me go over here. On the side of the stairs, there are these symbols.
Stone steps. The symbols carved into them mark this as a place of great magic.
And that is the solution to the puzzle that we're about to go to.
Most sacred warrior, you must find blood that springs from a holy heart, and a heart which does not bleed. Place these 2 offerings in the bowls before you, and then you may enter the temple of the jaguar.
All right. So, heart that does not bleed.
Holy warrior, an honorable
it's the crystal heart that we got from the
before the temple door will open.
witch's hut.
Seek the blood that flows from a sacred heart and place it in the second bowl.
You can tell which one it's supposed to go into because this one has like the blood sort of next to it.
It's bloodless.
I don't think we can do this.
What more can I do?
Yeah. So if you try to put them in the wrong one, it doesn't work.
The offerings are accepted. The jaguar temple door opens before sacred Olmec.
All right, so
The jaguar totem.
we can't grab it. And so I just want to double check here. Yeah, okay. So if I remember right, there's a little trick to this one too. So you ignore the first one, and then if you can count, you can mostly do it. So this one.
Stone wheels. Set to turn for some strange purpose.
We move it once. Move this one twice. Move this one 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Move this one 4 times. This one you have to move it an extra time to get to the fishy. And then this last one, you just do it 1 past the fish. But they correspond to the symbols that are on the side of the stairs. That's how you know the answer. Hear a little sound.
The Jaguar's power is revealed.
So that blew up the Quetzalcoatl statue. And now we have all 3 totems. And what we can do with that is come back over to where that statue was. We can place them on there, and we can get down to the down below that this guy was telling us about.
This is...
Oh, and you have to put them in the right place, but it's like it corresponds to the direction that it is. So like the water temple is up here.
The Jaguar, an empty copper bowl.
So the water totem goes there. Jaguar temple is this way. Jaguar totem goes there. There's that, and we can jump inside. And we get another flashback. With Max returning to the Aztecs.
This time? So simple.
DNA test cycle initiated.
Come on. Hold together, you son of a bitch.
Molecular cohesion affirmative.
Yes!
Test cycle downloaded to DVD. Encryptor sequence completed. System shutdown activated.
Off the narration of the simple act of ejecting a DVD. Oh, back to the opening cutscene there. But yeah, I can understand how that would be confusing for first-time players, and it's still a little bit obtuse, I think. But essentially, Max remembered something that he saw or discovered when he was doing his research in the Aztec ruins, and that was the key to curing this dnav disease. So, all right. So now we're in this maze, basically, and this pink lightning we want to avoid, because here's what happens when it hits us. It takes us back to the center. It doesn't hurt us, but it does impede our progress. So, gotta go down this way, down these stairs. If I remember right, I'm trying to remember here. And then around the back, because one of the things that will happen is that
was close.
The maze will kind of start falling apart as you go through it. But the correct way to do it, to go over here. Move on up. and get to this panel here. Now, I'm not sure if there's a hint somewhere for what you're supposed to do, if you just kind of try different options, which is just as plausible, I think.
A release switch.
But you just do the first one and the third one, and then that lights that up, and then you punch it. And now that's opened up. And now we're good. Sort of. Not quite yet. But what we want to do is go to the pink lightning, go there, come over here. There's this little guy.
The path.
And we want to use him, pull his arm. And that will lift up or change that there. And now we can go where we need to go. You can go all the way back here to this area. There's nothing back there. It's a waste of your time. There's nothing back there. Oh, and I've forgotten to save here.
Save game.
Probably a good idea. Probably a good idea.
Return to game.
Oop. It's okay. A little too hasty. All right. You know what I think we might do? We are really close to the end, but I am getting kind of tired. And I want to be able to do the ending of the game justice and not be sort of falling asleep. So what I'm going to do, we're going to stop here for tonight. And then either tomorrow night or the night after, we will go ahead and finish this up. Part of me wanted to keep pushing to the end, but I'm starting to get a little sleepy here, and I want to be able to commentate and make it fun and really enjoy the end of this game that I think is really cool. So for any of you who are still here and lurking, I appreciate you being here. Hope you are having a wonderful October and that...